Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack here. It is now Monday, the 8th of July, 2024. How's everybody doing? I'm a little bit tired. Been up pretty much since yesterday, setting up our camera systems in anticipation of what did become Hurricane Beryl. It is now over Texas, and it has brought quite a few significant impacts to this area. Probably most people were not expecting what they have seen. There's a lot of people without power. There's a lot of flooding. There's not a lot of damage, there's not scenes of just utter devastation, but it's widespread, sort of an inconvenient bunch of damage, if that makes sense. So we're not seeing just thousands of structures damaged, anything like that as a Category 1 hurricane. But it has affected a large population area, and all my hits that I was doing on Fox Weather, I kept mentioning that this is going to move from a sparsely populated area of the coastline right around Matagorda and vicinity, up into an area that has over 4 million people. So the effects that we're seeing are very much based on that premise that Beryl has plowed through a densely populated area, and I think a lot of people were caught off guard. They weren't thinking that it was going to be this impactful, even though it was not on an intensity scale very severe. Just goes to show you, you have to know what you're dealing with, and the biggest teacher is experience. And now that you've experienced it in Houston, hopefully you'll be better prepared the next time around. At least mentally anyway, you'll know generally what's coming. All right, so a little bit of recap for you. This is, Matagorda, Ben Knoll saying it wins the lottery for the first landfalling tropical system of 2024 in the United States. There it is, the radar animation coming off of radar scope of the landfall of Beryl. It did tighten up, and it did make landfall as a Category 1. Luckily, obviously this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it, it did not rapidly intensify and become a Category 2 or a Category 3, and the biggest culprit was our good old friend, dry mid-level air. These tropical systems need to have as much moisture in their entire envelope, their whole universe as it were, to really thrive. And if you have any mid-level moisture lacking in there, so if there's less humidity, you get a more mid-level dry layer. No, you don't get the tremendous heat engine that these things are to operate efficiently. Nevertheless, it did tighten up. It did become a Category 1 hurricane, and it has delivered quite the set of impacts from the coastal areas with the storm surge to the inland areas with power outages, lots of rainfall. Many of the creeks and the rivers and the bayous and whatever they're called in this region, part of the flood management system, they're out of their banks, including one that I will show you where we put a camera system over there near Katy, Texas. So, it did what we thought it was going to do generally, and luckily it wasn't worse. I think we got lucky this time, as bad as things are. But look at what's going on here. Let me use my blue color here to sort of differentiate everything. This is where I was with my colleague Matt Clemens from Colorado. This is the ragged eye of Beryl by the time it got to us. We had a low pressure of 979 millibars. I'll show you that plot in just a moment. But then just recapping everything, this is about 5:23 local time. Look at those bands coming in, very heavy rain. No wonder so many people are without power down on Galveston. The air is still so thick and humid and hot, and people are trying to enjoy a vacation or whatever the case may be. They live there, and it is just miserable right now. Something like over 2 million people were without power at one point, and it is quickly starting to get restored. As I zoom in here, just look at this, these heavy reflections here in the radar, the heavier rain moving in across a huge population area, once again showing that this area is absolutely vulnerable to hurricanes, no matter how many you've been through in the past. You haven't been through Beryl. Well, now you have. All right? So here's what it looks like on the satellite animation this afternoon. There's Beryl, and it is still very impactful now, moving across eastern Texas, affecting coastal Louisiana, interior Louisiana. Eventually it's going to be into Arkansas, and this will bring the threat of severe weather, heavy rain, trees down, travel will be difficult. This will end up being a very impactful system, clearly from the genesis of it way out here, all the way through the Windward Islands, impacting Jamaica, close to the Cayman Islands, and then across the Yucatan, and then finally this landfall up here. That's a pretty good drawn track, if I may say so myself. Quite the legacy from Beryl, and I fully expect that it will be requested by the National Hurricane Center to be removed from the rotating list of names, so that 6 years from now, I don't think we'll see Beryl again on the list. It'll be replaced with another female B name. I have nothing to do with that, but that's just my thoughts as to what could happen. So here's some of our data. I do like to collect the data. I did not bring any wind instruments with me. I had a little handheld Kestrel, but I'm not standing out in that kind of wind. And the rain is just too much. Sorry, call me weak or whatever. Not going to do it. I had to fly the equipment in because I just wasn't sure. None of us were. Was Beryl even going to do anything? Was it going to go into Mexico? And so I chose to fly. We brought a few camera systems and a few of these little drop sensors from Kestrel, and they collect very good data. And I wanted that pressure data. I wanted to take those vitals, if you will, the best that I could with what I had. And here's what we got. This is a nice sample here of some of those readings from that Kestrel. And we had a low pressure of 979.6 millibars in Bay City. And you can see the different times in here. These are every minute that we get a sample. And it's just neat to have this data. I'll get it plotted out from one of our friends that can help us with data visualization. And I'll show you what it all looked like from our pressure sensor. We never really moved when we were in Bay City, appreciably. So it'll be good, reliable data. All right, National Hurricane Center. Let's see what's happening off their homepage. What's the headline? Well, flash flooding and gusty winds continuing over eastern Texas. Use caution after the storm has, after the storm, as deadly hazards remain, including down power lines, carbon monoxide poisoning from improper generator use. And there's a few other things you need to think about. There could be snakes and other critters that are upset by the storm and on the move. And watch out for turtles out there. Seriously, if you can avoid hitting them as they are trying to cross these roads. I mean, I'm a nature guy. I love wildlife just as much as hopefully most people. And interestingly enough, I haven't seen much of that when Matt and I drove from Bay City over here to Texas City, where I am currently. Didn't see a lot. A couple of unfortunate dead armadillos on the road. But point is, lots of creatures out and about after these storms. And some of them can have negative impacts on you if you encounter them. So look at this. Look at what Beryl is going to do over the next few days, moving out of the Lone Star State, across Louisiana, Arkansas, up across the Mississippi Valley region, into the Great Lakes, and even the remnants through the Great Lakes there. Almost looks like the total eclipse path. Almost. Doesn't it? Isn't that interesting? They are not connected, believe me. But it just kind of looks like that old total eclipse path from April the 8th. But Beryl will finally die away as an extratropical system, shedding its tropical characteristics, and that'll be it. Beryl will be in the history books, but not without pretty substantial impacts, especially down here, and then maybe some more impacts, certainly some more up through the rest of its track, again, cutting through the Great Lakes region. You don't see that very often, and it is only July. All right, looking at the National Weather Service page, I wanted to show you this because I felt like it's important to show you this patchwork of color through here. Your tropical storm, tornado, and flood watches and warnings and related. Yeah, these are all the counties and parishes, Louisiana, that are impacted and will be impacted by Beryl. So use this page here, use this site, weather.gov. It's a very helpful source. You can put your zip code right in here, or just click on the map. You say, all right, I'm up here in northeast Texas, maybe near Tyler. I'm in the Piney Woods area. What can I expect? All you got to do is click on that map, and then you can zoom in and click on Tyler, and you get local information. Very, very helpful. It's all right there. It's not just apps that feed you information. Go read it. Go read some of these things and learn about the weather from your point of view where you live. It can be very helpful. All right, so it is Monday. It is time to sort of broaden out into the more of what we call the hurricane outlook and discussion, not just about Beryl, but we're obviously still in the beginning part of the hurricane season. After all, it's only July 8th. And the big driver this year, I'm sure you know this very well by now, are these anomalously warm sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic and the lack of El Nino in the equatorial Pacific. Now, if we get a strong La Nina or even a moderate La Nina, that could help make the Atlantic more favorable. But I think we've seen already, just from what we've had here with Beryl, that conditions are already pretty darn favorable due to the very warm water temperatures relative to average. And that looks like that pattern's going to hold. And as such, I want to show you this because we got to stay on top of it. Not trying to scare people. I'm trying to make sure you are aware. So, I don't know. I don't have a catchphrase, but, aware, not scared. Something like that. Everybody's got a catchphrase, I guess. But seriously, we have to pay attention. Beryl is a good example, a good bad example, right, of what this season can do. And the new guidance that comes out once a month, that just got updated. And the period here, August through October, let me highlight it in yellow. Nope, we don't want to do that. Let me highlight it in yellow so it'll show up better. This is August 2024 through October 2024. And this is from Ben Knoll, our trusted source up there, well, down there in New Zealand, but he's from the Hudson Valley area. But he does these great graphics that shows what we can expect. And these are very important. And the new data from the ECMWF, highly regarded global model, climate model, all sorts of stuff that they do with that suite of products from the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, and in this case long range, the Euro as we call it. This is what we're seeing, and I'll highlight it in yellow. August through October, it's just painted green where we really don't need it. There are some tracks that curve away from land masses, and that could end up over here for our friends in the UK and maybe even Northwest Europe, you never know. But this is really concerning. It is. For those of us that know what we're looking at, that is a problem. Those dark green, that means wetter. The Euro is detecting these anomalies in its ensembles. All the different parameters that it looks at, so to speak, suggest that August through October could continue to be very, very busy. Now look, we're going to have down periods where we have sinking motion and dry air and all that kind of stuff in the Atlantic that is just not favorable. But by and large, August through October look to be very, very active, and we need to be prepared. We got to be mentally ready for this. So what about the next week or so? Let's just take a look at that for you real quick here. There's Beryl, and there's the big old Bermuda Azores high sitting out there. This is 850 millibars, or 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. And that dark color, that's the vorticity signature, the skeleton of Beryl, so to speak. And it finally starts to fall apart, get stretched out, becoming absorbed into the westerlies, as we say, going around the northwest part of that big old high pressure area. And then it gets whisked out into the Atlantic, and that's it. But notice as I just move this out, and I'm going to go out to 2 weeks here just to show you something. Look at the wave energy that's coming across the tropics. You see them rolling off Africa? I want you to watch, in case you didn't see it, right through here. And let's just highlight it a little bit better color. Well, that didn't work. How about dark blue? There we go. Watch through here as we scroll through the next 2 weeks. Look at those tropical waves that come off, one after the other after the other. Luckily, they're going to come into a pattern that is not favorable for much development. But once that changes and we get a more favorable upper level pattern, probably to close out the month of July, entering August, and that's where we get this map, August through October, things could start to become quite busy. So look, I want to tell you something. As most of you know that have been following the channel, at least for the last year, we are supported in part by QuickDam, and I saw something very interesting that really brought this home, where it's more than just a sponsor. I really like the partnership I've got with this company because they have solutions for exactly what I saw at my hotel last night. Stayed at a national chain, I won't call them out by name, because they had leaks, all right? And it was dripping in the lobby and dripping out of the ceiling, and they had buckets and everything. And I was like, and I literally told Matt, man, it's too bad we didn't have a bunch of quick dams we could brought with us. If we had driven down, I would have had them, because when we do go out for missions and we have our trucks, we do bring several of their products with us to give to people, to help them, and to say, hey, look, these products really work. But they've got these drip mats, they've got the water dam that can help contain water, all sorts of stuff. I was literally like, man, it's too bad that we don't have quick dam with us, or they couldn't run over to Walmart or Lowe's. There was not a Lowe's nearby where we were. But it was like where the solution to the problem was so obvious, and it was just like it really hit home for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to remind people of our partnership with QuickDam. This is their site, or their Twitter handle, sorry. This is their website. All sorts of amazing products to help you from construction all the way to flood kits. And we're going to give some stuff away this month. I got to start working on that. We're going to choose a couple of lucky people off of Twitter and YouTube and send you some of their products and let you see what they look like. That's that water dam that can literally help to corral the water. It's water activated. You don't have to worry about filling sandbags. And we have literally heard from people, I've used that word too much literally, but we have heard from people that have emailed me and said they have used their products and they have made a difference. And that, my friends, is what I want to hear, because I'm here to help. Over 30 years of experience with that word, impacts. That's what it's all about at the end. Yeah, category matters a little bit, but I think it's the impacts that I think matter the most. And I think after Beryl, most people would hopefully agree. Hey, have yourselves a great rest of your Monday. I'm going to get a nap. I need it. From all of us at HurricaneTrack, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tuning in during our coverage. I am Mark Sudduth. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.